Welcome to all of you. Is everybody doing okay out there? It's pretty cool to see you guys out there in 3 different locations doing this TLI. Don't know if I've ever seen that. I guess when we were all meeting remotely, that was pretty similar. We're all in our own pajamas, but you guys had to get up and get showered and actually roll out to where you are. I, I know that that's a lot of work sometimes, especially on a Saturday when you were thinking maybe you might sleep in or something. I know around here I probably should be going out and raking up those leaves. Not looking forward to that. But hey, we all got to do what we got to do. That's what we're going to talk to you a little bit about today. So, about 30 years ago, I was in college taking some coursework to become an officer in the United States Air Force. I learned a lot about airplanes. But when it came to presentation skills, though, the only thing that I got out of the military was one truth that I learned that still is true today. And that is, if the general falls asleep during your presentation, your message is lost. That message alone has led me to move around a lot more during my presentations and add humor as much as I can, because I learned that people love to follow a moving target and people like to laugh. But what the military didn't do is stop how often I would be putting together a presentation, be given that presentation, and then I'd start rambling on about something and lost my place. It still happens. It still happens. But it was around that time that I married my wife, and she started in Toastmasters. She joined Toastmasters because she was terrified of public speaking. I wasn't terrified. I was just terrible. See what I did there? Come on. That was awesome. That was awesome. Come on. You got to love that stuff. I'm here all weekend. Try the veal. Be good to your waiters and waitresses out there. But here's one of those examples where I didn't understand the ancient Greek aphorism, know thyself. 5 years after my wife joined, I joined. And I joined so that I could get credit for her bringing a new member to Toastmasters. But within the first few meetings, I saw things that I didn't expect. Positive reinforcement worked wonders for my personal development. And the constructive feedback that I received actually helped me get better by reminding me about what I did well, and to addition, what I could actually improve on. But what else I saw is that nobody really wanted to lead. In hindsight, I see why. Oftentimes in club leadership, we kind of look at it as a household chore, like, washing the dishes or taking out the garbage. No one wants to do it, but it has to be done, right? But it could be so much more. A different way to look at club leadership is that you get to run a small organization, a store franchise, if you will, that endows its customers with confidence, a keen eye for evaluation, and a place to share their stories in a safe place, right? Running that franchise is challenging at times, and a place to share, is challenging at times. But when you see members grow in their confidence and skill, and you know that you played a part in that, it's one of the few feel-good times that we have in our lives. You can witness the joy of a new Toastmaster winning table topics for the first time, revel in the excitement as a new member is the Toastmaster for the first time. And you can see the difference in a member from their first speech to their 5th or their 10th. You are responsible for that. It's not just a point on a distinguished club plan. The member will leave your club and go out into their work or community and be more successful. The challenge is great being a club officer, but the rewards are even greater. But wait, there's more. The next year, or about 15 months later so, I was elected to be president of that club. And then I was asked to be an area governor, the thing that they call area director now. Hey, any past or current area directors out there? Hands up. Come on. Yeah, there you go. I can see you. Wow, the system works. The opportunity to visit new clubs, multiple clubs that you've never been to, you see things. You see things, you haven't seen before? Well, only remember the good stuff. The bad stuff you never saw. You can take those good things that you saw, like the listening quiz master, that's a thing, and bring it to another club. You can bring a great habit like reading the goal of a speech before the speech from a club that does it to a club that doesn't. You can also organize speech contests for the winners of club contests. Look, folks, when you organize a club contest and it's well run and it finishes on time, people notice. They thank you. I thank you when they finish on time. You've provided an excellent experience for a club member that may have experienced your contest as their first journey outside the club. If it goes well, they may become curious about what else lies outside the club, like maybe this event or your district conference. If it goes poorly, they may never leave their club again. When club members in an area look to become area directors, you, area directors, past and present, are probably the reason for that. Great area directors inspire others to do the same. And the system continues into the division and the trio levels. And in each of these roles, you provide service to our members through the administration of services and events that deliver value to our members. Hearing myself say those words, they sound very technical, yeah? Formal. Services and events, administration. Okay, all right. You provide opportunities for our members to grow in their experience and relationships in Toastmasters. Yeah? You all help clubs achieve excellence by providing training events like this one, speech contests, conferences, and incentive programs that drive us to be better. At each step, the goal is to provide an environment for our clubs and, more importantly, our members to thrive in the Toastmasters program. Now, you remember in my introduction, I said I served as a district governor and district director for my district. Many times when I was rolling through those roles, a member would see me in a mood or in a dejected mood over a turn of events, and they'd say, Stefano, why do you do this to yourself? There are so many other things that you could be doing with your time, just like you. Now, I know that when I was brought into leadership, I was told it would make me a better leader. It's true. Toastmasters taught me that you don't always get to pick the people on your team, but you must learn to get along with them. You can't fire the people that get in your way. You have to inspire them to get on the team. You need to learn what drives them and tap into that energy. And finally, seek to understand before being understood. You see, all of those things are critically necessary in my everyday work outside of Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a great place to practice them because the members of Toastmasters are far more tolerant and understanding of my character flaws than my work folks. So I thank you for that. An example of Toastmaster skills transferring over to work involves a job that I had at a department as a department manager in 2015. I had a team of 6 engineers that worked for me, and we got along really well. As I approached the time where I'd be doing their reviews, I opened up the manual and looked to see what human resources wanted me to do this year for the reviews. I got to tell you, it didn't seem very useful. But during that time, our company was going through yet another round of layoffs, and I was concerned that my team might be affected on this one because we had dodged quite a few. Well, we were affected. I had to furlough 5 out of my 6 members of my team, and this was just a month before their reviews. I was told that I didn't need to do their reviews because they'd be gone soon anyway. Thanks, HR. But seeing that I had nothing to lose, I tossed out the review process that HR had And I used Toastmasters evaluation instead. I looked at the work that each of them did over the years, or over the year, I'm sorry, and how it contributed to the bottom line of the organization. And then I tried to find some things that they could improve, called those out, why they were important to the organization, and how I was going to help them get better. A 90-10 kind of way, where they were doing the 90 and I was doing the 10, because that's how it's supposed to work. When they got those reviews, they were shocked. A number of them came back and said, this was the best review that they ever had. They came away energized to work some more and knew what they needed to do to get better. They knew what to keep doing and why. Fellow Toastmasters, the process is effective that we use to evaluate our members. These are the things that we learn in Toastmasters that are actually relevant no matter where we go outside of Toastmasters. I've given this speech a few times, and people often ask me afterwards, what did those employees think about the review and you after you had to let them go? Well, they were still happy with the review. They told me that because of the review, they left the organization on a high note, because instead of just getting kicked out the door, we invested time in them as they left. This stuff matters. Further to that, my past work on the board allowed us to be a part of a survey where we asked TRIO members, district leaders all over the world in January of 2020, just before the pandemic. We asked them a lot of different questions, but we asked them, what was it? Why did they join Toastmasters? Well, they said that they too said what I said, which is they were told being a district leader would make them a better leader in regular life. But then when we asked them why did they continue to do this, they said, well, we enjoy, or when our members enjoy what we do for them, when they see what comes of having a great environment for our members, oh, they love it. They love it. When members experience a great event like this one or conference and they feel good about it, it's a big win for us as leaders. When leaders see members grow in their speaking and leadership skills, it matters to us. When we create the opportunity for you to successfully lead or take your leadership to the next level, that's a big win for us. Leaders enjoy the work when successful membership is the fruit of our labor. But what does success look like? Hey, you know, we have useful metrics to help us judge our success. Some of you may be aware of the Distinguished District Program that's used to evaluate a district. All of you should be aware of the Distinguished Club Program that we use to evaluate our club success. These are objective measures that we use to assign success to our organization. All successful organizations have metrics, yeah? That's how we measure success. Otherwise, you're just guessing. But are those goals why we're here? Are we here to be distinguished? The answer is no. We're here for a member who joins because they're nervous about speaking in their church. We're here for the member who wants to speak at a sibling's wedding and has never spoken up before. We're here for a member that wants to get a tribute at their father's retirement because they never told them how proud they are of them. And we're here for that member who wants to give a eulogy at their mother's funeral because that's how they need to say goodbye. The joy we feel as members, as clubs, as Toastmasters, when our friends succeed in giving the speech that they need to give, that's how we judge our success. When a member gives a presentation at work that contributes to their promotion, we are all promoted. Sometimes new members come to our club because they have lost a job and they want a way to get their confidence back and to get back out there working again. Our clubs are a place where you can go to make human connections too. We learn about each other through our speeches and by working together as clubs. When we provide that supportive environment that our members need to get back on their feet, we succeed as Toastmasters. There was a man who recently lost his job due to a layoff. Let's call him John. The job loss hit John personally, and he fell into depression. He lost his ability to pay for an apartment and had to move back in with his parents and live in the basement. He was there for a few months, and yet he couldn't bring himself to look for a new job and was unsure what to do with his life going forward. A friend of his saw this and saw that it wasn't changing and invited John to visit a Toastmasters club. Now, of course, John said, I'm not interested in leaving the house right now. I'm still trying to get my stuff together. But after multiple invitations, he wasn't going, he actually went. Now, John enjoyed the meeting. He thought it was interesting. But then when his friend invited him to go back for another meeting, he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. I went, leave me alone. But his friend kept working on him and made him go back another time. And eventually, John started going on his own. He started speaking at the club and started to get his confidence back. We do that. Eventually, John applied for a job and managed to get an interview. He showed up for his afternoon meeting, but was told by the hiring manager that they had already selected a candidate they'd interviewed earlier in the day. But John did go all the way across town to go to this interview, so he figured that they'd do the interview anyway. Well, the interview went well, very well. So well, in fact, that the company reversed its decision and hired John. You see, when John won, we all won. That's why we're here. As leaders, how do we succeed? Quite simply, we succeed by empowering our clubs to create that environment that allows successful leaders and communicators to actually happen. Successful area directors have a keen eye for what works at this club and can bring new ideas that are working at another club. Or just try to keep things fresh and new in this club. Area directors are the link to the outside world for members in their clubs. They familiarize members with the opportunity to compete outside their club in a contest. And they might even introduce them to a new friend in another club with a similar hobby or meeting style or speaking style. That's how I found a friend that actually motorcycles, and we went on some motorcycle trips together. That's how I found someone that was able to help my particular skills and what I was driving at was from another club. I wouldn't have known they existed if it wasn't for an area director that was looking out for me. Division directors look after those area directors and provide a resource for them when things get tough. Division directors advocate for the trends that they see, and they provide counsel to district trios. Division and area directors may also play part in club officer training like this, speech contests, and they work with the trio as the district executive committee to make sure that the success of each member happens. Fellow Toastmasters, this talk was intended to show you that this grand experiment that we call Toastmasters is not up to one second vice president, not one district director, or one club president. It's up to all of us to make this program successful at every level of our organization. We can do many things, but one thing that none of us can do is create more time. So I submit to you that now is the time for you to step up to club leadership, step up to district leadership. You say you don't have anything unique to offer. You do. I know you do. You say you don't have time. Me neither. But we make time for the things that matter to us. As I said before, Toastmasters gives us the opportunity to do some good in the world, to change a life, to be better, to make one club, one area, one division just a little bit better than it was when you found it. Feel the joy in being the reason that a member succeeds. That, fellow Toastmasters, is why we're here. Madam Toastmaster.
Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask our second VP? Now, this is the second VP of Toastmasters.
Now keep it
This
going.
is an opportunity for you all to ask those questions. Oh, I see a hand here in Lynchburg. Oh, let's see. Christine, come on down.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
So thank you very much for this talk, Stefano. My question that I think we all share throughout the district is, what is the most effective way to recruit new members? What have you seen around the globe, around this country, that actually works? Thank you.
So Toastmasters are a fickle group. And I think that what I've noticed that works, and it's funny because there are members that are a few years older than myself. They're seasoned members. I don't like to think of myself as a senior person, but my son of 16 years thinks I'm old. And what I found though is that you have to ask. We have text messages, we have Slack, we have Teams, we have Zoom. People want a phone call. They want this personal, hey, I'd like you to be a member. And it is the most expensive way. Remember, I was talking about time. The most expensive way to get a member is to ask them to join. But that's what people want. That's what they crave. They want to feel special, that you are taking time out of your day to ask them to be a member. It works. And I wouldn't believe this. I am an email generation guy. The people before me were telephone generation people. Before them, they were in person. Now it's, I guess, TikTok. Text works now too. But you have to ask. Another one is, and this is a little bit harder, but it does work, is you have to find a way to get the kinds of members that you want into leadership positions. When I served as a district leader the first time around, and I was just a lieutenant governor, education and training. For those of you that are much younger than me, they call that program quality director now. But the guy that I was probably in my late 30s at the time. The guy that was district governor was just out of college. He was like 22, 23. Let me tell you, we changed a lot of stuff that year that really was mind-bending. But we got a lot of younger folks into the program then. And what I realized, and I should know better, people want to join an organization that looks like them. It makes sense, and yet it's surprising. I spent time in the military, as I told you, and I probably stayed an extra 2 years because a recruiter came to me and said, we need you to stay a little bit longer. And I said, I don't want to stay a little bit longer. I want to get out and retire. I got other things to do with my life. And they said, yeah, but we don't have any people of color in your leadership level in the organization, or not many. So you need to stay because people look at you and say, if you can do it, I can do it. So that resonated with me. And it's the same thing with Toastmasters, is if you're looking to recruit people, work hard at finding the ones that you have that fit the demographic and support them in moving ahead, because then people say, oh, I could join this organization. It is for me because there are people that look like me. For me, it was mind-blowing, but it's the truth. So so to sum it up, ask in person or on the telephone. When people come and you attract them to join, convert them, ask them, follow up. It's hard and time consuming, but it works. And build a culture that has as many different facets in it in your leadership, so that no matter who they are, age, race, religious, whatever, that they see someone like them as a leader that pulls people in every time. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Can I just follow that up with a
Of
message to the rest of the club leadership? What I found is once you get one person who's not necessarily like the rest of the group, when visitors come, they at least see that person, and then it starts to snowball. And that's how you build a diversified club. And I was on a mission. I was inviting people who did not look like me all the time. And it worked. Not very often, but it did work. Thank you.
Right on. Glad we were on the same page there.
Anyone else?
Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, good morning, Virginia. There you go.
Thank you.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So when COVID hit, most clubs had to stop meeting in person. And so a lot of clubs have started to do Zoom. And then there's these hybrid meetings. And now that we are a little bit removed from the pandemic, do you have any thoughts on clubs, whether they should maintain being hybrid, go all local? What are some of the pros and cons, pitfalls? What are your thoughts? Thanks.
For sure. I always tell people when I go to give speeches, I'm not going to tell you anything new, but sometimes you just need to hear it. And I'm totally buy into that. I'll go listen to somebody that tell me what I already knew, but you need to hear it again. So you're like, yeah. Maybe that's confirmation bias. I don't know. So these are my opinions. This is not strategic policy, Toastmasters policy. This is just what I've seen, what I've heard. Number one, in-person clubs, that's where it's at. The clubs that are in person are doing the best. They're recovering the fastest. They are, because they deliver that feeling, that nervousness, that overcome you can hear the applause, and it's visceral. You can't recreate that with Zoom. Online clubs, there will always be a place for online clubs, because then you can have people come in from Massachusetts and it's no big deal. You can have clubs that are from wide areas that cater to a particular thought process. Like, I don't know, I've seen motorcycling. Well, no, I haven't seen motorcycling clubs, but I'm interested. Parliamentary procedure clubs, like really niche clubs. You need a bigger group to do that. And online is just the way to go. And plus, people only see you from from about here down or here up. So, it's super comfortable. You can show up 1 minute ahead of time. There's always going to be that. Hybrid is cool if you've got the equipment. Then I am down with hybrid. My club meets hybrid twice. We meet twice a month. Both meetings are hybrid. There's two sides of that coin. We meet hybrid. We're in a new library, has a fancy camera, like a couple of the places that you guys are at. I run the camera. I'm the technically savvy guy, and I spotlight people when necessary. And I mean, you need a lot of technical knowledge to really bring in those remote folks and whatever. And it's great. But there are clubs out there that are trying to do this with multiple notebooks and an iPhone, and I'm like, it's not great. It's not great. But also, in the example of my club, one club out of 12,000, okay? During the pandemic, I think we had 2 members that moved away from our club. And so if it wasn't for those members, we'd probably be all in person. But we're not going to leave those guys out in the cold. They've been members with us for years. But if you don't have the equipment, hybrid actually makes it worse. In person is, again, personal preference. I think in person is where it's at. Online is good because it's just flexible and you have a bigger group of people to pull from. And hybrid, I think, is it works in certain situations. If you have to force it and buy a bunch of equipment, unless your unless your club is flush with cash and is looking at a way to burn it, that's my opinion on it. I think the future, when I was running for second vice president, not this last time, but the time before, somebody said, what do you see as the future? I said, I think we're going to see a lot of clubs that are in person, a small number of clubs that are hybrid, and another large lump, not as big as in person, but it's going to be virtual. So it's going to be virtual, in person, with a small bit of hybrid. It's because in person is so easy. You click a button and you've got a meeting room. Nakasha, $8 a month. How can you say no to that? So, I mean, that's where I think. I hope I answered your question. That was just my opinion on it. Judging by the applause, we're going to say that was good enough. All right. All right.
Hi, my name is Latanya, and I am in the Richmond office.
Hey, Richmond.
Woo! I'm just curious, did you acquire your DTM through the old path or through the new pathways? That's my first question.
Sure. Old path, 2011 with my wife, the old school way. Since I'm sorry, the old, I still call it the classic or legacy
The
program.
classic, the legacy
Yeah.
program. Okay.
Like
So
Coca-Cola.
with regard to the new pathway and how it is structured, do you have any suggestions with regard to acclimating new people, getting them comfortable with the process and having them engage with it more? It just, even I started under the legacy program, left and came back to pathways, and I even find it challenging. So I'm just curious if you have any feedback or anything that you can offer to maybe help us engage our new people or even our current people. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the current folks. We had the legacy program for, well, as far as all of us have probably served, since the beginning of time. Yeah. And what I used to tell people when I think it's because I was campaigning last year is, if you grab a seasoned member and you're able to sneak into their house and wake them out of their sleep and say, how do you get your DTM? They'd be like, oh, you got to get your CC, and then you got to do your 2 manuals, and you get you just know. You just know. But now Pathways has been with us still, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, 5 years, something like that, 6 years, maybe in some districts. It's still a little fuzzy on how to get there. And I think one of the things that we need to do as districts, and you guys are welcome to do it, and of course, like everything, it's hard, but we need to really pour time into doing, if you remember what the ambassadors did, and go out and visit clubs and say, hey, this is Pathways. Here's how you log in. Here's what you see. Here are the paths. Here's what they mean. If you choose a path and you want to change it, here's how you can change it. Here's how much time you have. If you think about it, and again, this is the stuff that I get to deal with on the board, is our retention rate has been steady for the past many years of around 52, 53%. So half of the members have never seen our program before. And many of the members aren't sure how to use it. Training, and obvious training. Every club, every district should be saying, hey, do you want to get started with Pathways? And I've seen some districts do it. This is what it takes to log in. This is how you submit an award. And some of us would be like, oh, I already know how to do that. Just like this TLI, your club officer training, you're going to see stuff you've seen before. Learn it again. Make sure that it's a part of what you're thinking about when you're sleeping, so that when somebody shakes you away, says, how do you get your DTM? Oh yeah, you got to do 2 paths, and you got to do DTM capstone. Okay. All right. And you got to apply for it because you need to do that. Like, it has to become part of who we are. And it's not yet. It's really not. Part of it is the usability side, which they're fixing. Should be no later than the middle of next year. I'm hoping for first quarter. But usability, but also we just need to train on it. We need to see ambassadors. I was trying to get Toastmasters to do that, to give them district leader credit, but let's bring back the ambassadors every 2 years to make a sweep through every district, every club, and say, hey, do you want to know more about Pathways? Ask your questions. Where are you stuck? Here's how you do things. I think that's what's missing, is we did 1 shot of training and then we said, that's it. And we should know better. We should know better than that. We should be doing this regularly every year. Where are you on Pathways? How come you haven't progressed? Let's talk about that. That's my thought on it, without rambling on too much. Thank you.
Hi, Stefano, Carla Davis, Area Director B22.
Area directors, woo! All right, go ahead.
You have been a member of Toastmasters. It sounds like for 18 years, just about 18, about to hit to 19.
Come on, I'm trying to look young here. Give me a
Well,
break.
you do. I mean, I think you started when you were a baby. So actually, like, I don't know how you have a 16-year-old, but you know. So tell us, how have you kept it fresh? You've served in several leadership roles. You're currently in a leadership role. How have you kept it fresh for yourself and for others? What's your next step? Year 19.
Well, so when I started Toastmasters, I didn't know this. I guess Toastmasters brought it out. I seem to always want to make things better. I seem to, and it's not better for me. It's like, oh, look what I can do. It's not. It's really about how do we make this better for our members? Maybe I'm just a sucker for when people complain to me. But when I was in my own club, it was a reasonably well-functioning club. But, you know, there were problems, right? Every club has problems. And I said, we should fix that. What if we fix that and people were happier? And that's what drives me. I don't know. So people might call it a people pleaser, but I've been in long enough to know that I can't please everybody. It is a fool's errand, as they say, to try to please everyone. But it's listening to people, hearing what they have to say. I think, could we do that better? Is there a way? Maybe there is a way, or maybe there's a way to do part of it to show that we're making progress, because adults like it when you level with them and you try to make things better. They respect your effort to try to make things better. And it started as club president. And then somebody said, you should be an area governor, now director. And I was like, what's that? What do they do? Sure, I'll try it out. I can help clubs. Sure. And it's really grown from there. And as I've been going through the district leadership, I mean, I tried to put some of that in the speech that I gave. You start seeing, you have to pay attention, but you start seeing how people improve. And it's cool to see people improve from there in the old school first speech to the 10th speech. Yeah, see your competent communicator, if you remember that. And you have to think about it. Do you remember Stefano's first speech? Look at his 10th. Look how he's grown. And he didn't just grow in Toastmasters, he's taking it outside and using this at work. And as leaders, me, you have to take credit for that, because you created the environment where Stefano could succeed. And when you take just a little bit of credit for that, you're like, wow, we're doing good things here in Toastmasters. Why wouldn't I want to be a part of that? Why wouldn't I just try to make it a little bit better than it was? You can't solve world hunger here. Wish we were trying to find a cure for cancer, but we can't afford that. But maybe the people that we train will get into organizations that do those things. Maybe somebody that we help find their voice helps start an organization that delivers water to people in need in Africa, or brings food to homeless people that are, well, now it's unhoused people. We could do that. We do that. We have the opportunity to change a world. You just need to think bigger. And that's how I got sucked in. That's how I got sucked in, that's what I'm here. That's what I'm still doing. That's what I continue to want to do. That's why I keep doing this. Even though sometimes I don't have time, is that you got to find time, because we do good and I want to be a part of that. That's how I keep it fresh, I guess. That, and I found that there's a lot of people out there that like to talk with people that are level with them. And that's what I try to bring to the table, is I'm just a regular guy, just trying to make a difference here. And I'd like your help. That's it.
I believe we had someone in Virginia Beach.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Catherine, and I'm a member of the Garden Speaks. I am really enjoying your presentation today. This is absolutely wonderful. And thank you for your service to our country. We could still use you there, but you're doing a great work. My question is regarding the platform, Toastmasters. I love it. I love it. Our website. Everything you need is there, but I do not find it easy to navigate because it's so time consuming. And for very new members, even with self-pay is great. It's great. But our members are having a problem with that. And I said, maybe we should not have moved to that yet, because even getting on the site is so brand new. And we're transitioning to this digital society, even in school. I don't agree with it all. I like the digital, but you can't throw out the textbooks. I love the manuals. We can have the website, but can we have a manual for the website with, I call them cheat sheets, very simple steps. If you want to pay online, someone said to me, send the link. Okay, I found the link. But after I sent the link, I said to myself, okay, she's not going to know what quite to do with this link. She needs more information. So you need a step one, very simple, because time is critical, valuable. We don't have a lot of time. So we need very explicit directions, simplify it. I find it a little too complicated, and we are not going to keep members because of it. People like getting a book, even for my grandchildren. You may have a book online, but I want a textbook in their hands and a textbook at home so someone else can sit beside me and help me. But Stefano, we're looking forward to growing and learning and making this world a better place. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Just send me an email with all of that, so I can, try to, drum up some support for that stuff. The whole manual thing is an interesting construct. We're trying to work around, or I was suggested by somebody else in where was it? Oh, it's in, I think he's in Australia, and we were talking about prison clubs for folks that are incarcerated and they can't use the internet, and we came up with a middle ground of why can't we have paths that are nicely formatted PDFs, so that you can, if you want to print it out, you can actually print it out and it actually looks like a book, and you can staple it if you want. But that's good, because right now, yeah, you can print out your path, but it doesn't look right, and that's not useful. But send me a message. Go smcghee@toastmasters.org, smcghee@toastmasters.org, or you can use my personal one, which is ssmcghee, 2 S's, with at gmail.com. Either one works fine. But I like some of those ideas, and I want to make sure I kind of raise those up to kind of amplify them a little bit, because I can't solve those here today because you're not asking me for my ideas, but I am interested in that. So let me see what I can do with it.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have one more question. Well, in Division B, Richmond.
Hey, Richmond.
Hi, good afternoon or good morning still.
Yeah.
Stefano,
I'm on the East Coast like you, not that far.
Excellent presentation. I wanted to ask you this though about mentoring. Our club has a mentoring program, and I know that a lot of other clubs have mentoring programs. And what I find is sometimes when we have someone new, they might be interested in having a mentor and reaching out that one-to-one. Sometimes they might not have the time to meet, they're in meetings and so on and so forth. And how does the mentor not feel like they're being pushy and harassing? Hey, just want to make sure everything is going well. And there's crickets, you don't get any feedback. So if you can give us some type of advice or advice on how to promote the mentoring program that we have and how we can stay in touch with that one-on-one without seeming so pushy, I would love to hear your advice. Thank you.
It's the same to me, in my Stefano's opinion. To me, it's the same thing as when we call Toastmasters a self-led program. And I know that infuriates some people, and other people are like, of course it's self-led. But if you, most of the time, if you leave people to their own devices to work through Toastmasters, they don't go anywhere. you have what I've suggested to clubs. Some clubs do this, many don't. It's like, okay, Stefano, you've just joined Network Voice Toastmasters. Your first 2 meetings, you're just going to watch and observe. But on meeting number 3, you're going to give the thought of the day. Yeah, meeting number 3, you're going to give the thought of the day. Then you're going to have another meeting to recover from that. Then you're going to be the timer, and then you're going to be the grammarian the meeting after that. And then after 2 more meetings, you're going to give your icebreaker speech. And we're going to work it. And we can't force them to do that. You paid for this. You paid for this. We're here to help you get better. You can't get better by just sitting there and watching the whole time. We allotted for that. So to your question of mentoring, I think that painfully, it needs to be more structured. One, it needs to have an end date. Maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 4 months, but that lets everybody know that this isn't forever. So there is an end, and I won't be your mentor forever. You can get rid of me. Just let the time run out. That's comforting to some people. But also at the same time, it should be, if you asked for a mentor, we'll meet monthly, unless you want more, but we're required to meet monthly. Here are the things that we'll talk about. They don't need to be long meetings. It could be 15, but have that, have a more, again, opinion, have a more structured program. And then when they exit out the other end, celebrate both of them and say, hey, Stefano and Dan just completed a 3-month mentorship, and they've gone through this. This is congratulations to both of you. This is why Toastmasters works. It doesn't have to be a certificate, just to shout out to say they did this, they cleared all the steps, and it got done. I think that's how we make mentorship work. I think one of the reasons that people are like iffy on mentors is because they're open-ended. We don't know what to do. And yeah, if I call every day, is it too pushy? If I call once a month, is it too pushy? We don't know. So set some realistic guidelines. Maybe once a month, we'll talk about what you're doing at the next meeting. And do you have any questions? The meeting's like, what, 10 minutes to half an hour? We choose, but there has to be some sort of, again, opinion, obligation to get something done, and then celebrate it, to celebrate the checking of the boxes at the end. I think that's how you make mentorship worth it for both people, in my opinion. I hope that helps.
Is that all the questions? Did someone else from Virginia Beach have a question?
Doesn't look like it. Well, there was one question. How's the weather in Boston?
Let's see here. I think that it's actually clear today. I think they said partly sunny, but it looks like it's clear outside from where I can see. But it is a balmy, oh wow, it's going up. It's a balmy 47 degrees right now. It was like freezing the last couple of days, like in the high 20s. But today it's actually warming up. Supposed to get up to almost 60 tomorrow, which is crazy for December, but that's it. My son was skiing last weekend in Vermont. Now it's getting up to 60 here. I'd ask how it is in Virginia, but I'm sure it's very different in Virginia Beach than it is in Roanoke.
Okay, then. We thank you so much for your time that you spent with us today. And we really Did somebody else have a question? I'm sorry.
I think they're.
Oh, okay. Everybody applaud.